We're over here at Hall's Nursery and we're shopping for some blueberries. And what I wanted to show you guys is some things that you want to look for when you are shopping for your blueberry bushes. So we're going to take you on through here and go to the back where we got the blueberries at. We're going to be shopping for some blueberries today. And this is a perfect example of what we want to do when we're looking for those blueberry bushes, because it can get real confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. That's a Vaccinium ashe. That's a bluebell blueberry. Now, you see what's under that? It's a rabbiteye. So anytime you see that ashe at the end, that's going to be a rabbiteye. So now right here is a perfect example of what it is that I'm talking about. And this is a Georgia gem. But the only thing that you see on there is the Vaccinium. It's not telling you if it's a southern highbush, a northern highbush, or a rabbiteye. It's just telling you it's a Vaccinium. That simply means that it's a berry bush. So we're gonna go ahead and get this because I know this is a southern highbush, even though it doesn't have it on the tag here. And we'll go down to this one, have ashe on it. And then you can see where it says southern rabbiteye. The rabbiteyes are only going to cross-pollinate with another rabbiteye. So you're not going to be able to cross-pollinate a southern highbush or a northern highbush with a rabbiteye. And the rabbiteye absolutely has to have a companion, whereas the southern and the northern highbushes can self-pollinate, but they do better with cross-pollination. We're going to go ahead and pick this Georgia gem up, and we're going to head back to the garden. So now that we have our new blueberry bushes at the garden, what's the first thing that we want to do to them? Well, being that these are in 1 gallon pots, there's not a whole lot to do. You pretty much already have your blueberry bushes where you need them at. Now you'll see here you got all these little dead pieces right here. You want to get those off of it. But as far as pruning goes, there's not a lot of pruning that you want to do. So what I'm going to do is my alcohol wipes here and wipe these snips off. You always want to make sure that you wipe those snips off. Sterilize your snips with some type of alcohol wipe before you start cutting on your bushes. And that's all we're going to do here. Just give it a good little cleaning. And as we go between bushes, we also want to make sure that we do those cleanings in between the bushes. So all you got to do is like the little stuff like this. You see these little brown pieces on the end. You just want to come down, give it a little bit outside, and just cut that off. It's not a whole lot to do. You see all of this? It's that frost damage. This is growing back to the inside of the bush. We're not going to want that there anyway. So we're going to start training this to go in the right direction. So we're going to go ahead and make this real simple on the bush. We're going to just take this whole thing out right here. We want to create an opening on the inside of here. This is already kind of out of whack, out of control already. So all this little stuff like this, we're going to go ahead and get those out of there. Little stuff like that. Same thing with little twiggies like this. That's not going to turn into anything, so we're going to get those out of there. Little twigs like that. Get all of that out of there. All of that stuff out of there. You don't want any branches scrubbing and all this little stuff like this. Again, we're going to get that out of there. You see how that's going to the inside here? We're going to get ahead and get that out of there. Anything where you see any scrubbing, little stuff like this, it's got that freeze burn to where we just had that cold the other day. We're going to get that out of there. Got one up top here. Get that out of there. Got a little bit right here. Let me get that out of there. Got this one here. get that out of there. So that's pretty much all you're doing to this one. We're not going to take a whole lot off of it because, like I said, this thing is not going to be producing any fruit for us next year. We want to remove all the flowers off of this and let it focus solely on that first year and creating a nice root structure. You see the little tip right here where you got the freeze burn on it? We're just going to get rid of that. That's going back to the inside. We're going to get rid of that. She's going to start pushing out come springtime. And you see all of this right here. All of this is new growth from the previous year. This is not in the best place because it's going up the center of the plant. And you want it to basically be like a upside down vase with the opening to let that sunlight come through. But again, what we're focused on more than anything right now is just getting those roots right. I put a link in the description up here to where you can go and see how I mix my ericaceous potting mix. And this spring we'll be up potting these into larger containers. Now, because it's a southern highbush, you can put it next to any southern highbush and they will cross-pollinate. But the things that you want to take into consideration is when does it bloom? When does it ripen? And if you want to extend your harvest season, those are two of the main things that you want to think about, because when it blooms, if it's an early bloomer, which most of the southern high bushes are early bloomers, and that's the reason why I have a lot of southern high bushes. And then your northern high bushes, they're going to be a little later in the bloom period. So you want to have coordination between the bushes that you're going to bloom with. So again, we're going to go over to growingoutthebox.com. We're going to look up our Georgia gem, and we're going to look up our legacy, and we're going to find out what are the best cross-pollinators. The Ashe and the Corymbosum will not cross-pollinate with each other. So you want to make sure that if you're getting a rabbiteye, you want to get another rabbiteye that's a good cross-pollinator with it. The low bush also will cross-pollinate with a northern or southern high bush. And this is the thing that I was telling you when we were over at Hall's Nursery. That is what you want to look for, Vaccinium corymbosum. You remember on the Georgia gems, the only thing that we had was the Vaccinium. There was no corymbosum behind that. That's a fault on the part of the nursery for not putting that information in there, because that's very vital when it comes down to how you want to choose your bush. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you just how simple it is to use that growingoutthebox.com blueberry guide. We're going to pick us a companion for our Georgia gem as well as our legacy right here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to log on to growingoutthebox.com. At the top of the page, just under the toolbar, we're going to click on the Blueberry Bush Guide. Here we have the basic overview of the guide. We have a very simple cross-pollination graph that you'll see over here to the right-hand side. We're going to scroll down and click on the section for the Northern Highbush Blueberry. The Northern Highbush are for those who are in Zone 3 all the way up to Zone 7. This tells you what a northern highbush is and what to expect out of the characteristics of a northern highbush. And if we scroll down a little further, you're going to see all the bushes that fall up under the northern highbush. Since we're looking for information on our legacy blueberry bush, we're going to scroll down and click on the legacy. This is where we have the detailed information on the legacy blueberry bush. Here you're going to find your best cross-pollinators based upon bloom time as well as ripening periods. It's all a work in progress and we're constantly updating. Simplicity with a twist of textbook, and we're growing out the box.